Take that label off of that.
Stop yelling at me. I swear
He's
to
gonna
God.
pour it in the glass.
If you ever yell at me
Don't
like
raise
that
your voice.
again,
It's rude.
if you yell at me like that again, I will not be part of this ever again.
Oh, that would be sad.
Jason, you're an asshole.
I will not put up with bullshit like this ever again.
I like your shell toes.
Thank you.
Are they the most
Hey, I got mine on too.
god awful, uncomfortable shoes you have ever worn?
Only because they're half a size too big, and I'm like, come on, man. Why are these are my size?
Show
I wore them
toes?
to a gig the other day, and my big toe was. I thought I had gout.
Yeah, shell toes are
Worst.
only
They're terrible.
wearable for about an hour if you're trying to make a statement. After
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
they are the most
I agree.
god
I
awful
agree with
shoe
you.
created.
Shall we toast? Ask Tammy.
Yay!
Tammy.
Welcome back to Ask Me. I am here for your service.
Next topic.
Your mother.
Kaylee?
Yelling.
Oh,
Kaylee's got topics.
Kaylee's got. She came with a receipt.
actually, I don't really have that many. I was just gonna say,
Oh, that's a new slang we didn't talk about. Receipts. That's a new thing too. Everybody says, "Oh, she
Let's
brought
keep
receipts."
I kept receipts.
I kept receipts. She came with
I hate
receipts.
that.
called the read receipts, but yeah,
What?
read receipts.
No, it's just receipts.
Okay.
Or she stood on business.
KK, your
I
hair
love
looks
that
pretty
one.
tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Did you curl it or something?
Yes.
She knew she was gonna be on camera.
I know.
Are your tags still expired?
Yes.
Then why are you driving?
She looks good though.
foot
That's all that
Like,
matters.
no, seriously. Like, if my tags
Oh no.
were expired by
call
an
them?
hour, I wouldn't drive my
She
car.
needs to call.
By the way,
Her tags expired in March 24.
Okay, announcement to the Popo. You're
I
calling her
drove
out.
2
Like-
years on expired tags,
Damn,
and then the cop
snitch.
finally pulled me over and gave me a warning and said, "Go get them fixed."
Sorry. My
Well,
foot
she
was
did pay to have
No,
them
we
done. They
paid.
just haven't come in.
We think they just got lost in the mail. She needs to call.
But it
so
said
sorry.
pending.
We
though.
paid for them online
It said-
March
what'd you-
7th.
By the way,
do
when
that
you
today?
said we paid, she's 26. She's
Well-
the whole thing
Wait a
should have been.
second. Wait a second. Do you
paid.
notice she went and bought herself a new phone today
As I was
and
begged
still
to,
didn't worry about
again.
the tags?
Babe, the tags are
You
paid in
told
full.
me to buy the
Stop
phone.
being parents. We're having a show.
Yeah, what's next?
I was gonna say, as I'm itching my foot, because it's
What's the dude on
really
gemstones? When he
Kaylee.
made that face, like,
fighting for my life.
I'm gonna put that up on the
like,
screen. Tammy, remember
What?
Matt and I, the dude from Gemstones, our boy. What's his name?
I don't know. Oh, yeah. The guy from
Hysterical, yeah.
Pitch Perfect. Love him.
Oh yeah, what's his name? It's
What
Kelvin.
are you doing?
Kelvin.
Okay.
Kelvin Jimstone.
Kelvin, and then his
His gay
shoe
lover.
back
dude.
on.
That guy's he's
Man, I
such
hurt
a good
myself.
actor.
You know he
So
was
now-
he used to be like a D1 lacrosse player.
No way.
He was badass at lacrosse.
Bring it in.
That dude.
Oh.
He's so so confused. We're talking about gemstones.
All right, let's get.
He sells the hell out of that.
If
part.
we're not
he
involved,
does.
we're not interested.
All right, go
Let's
ahead.
talk about books.
What do you think is easier?
Yes.
/ harder? Growing up as a teenager in your time period or my time period?
Your time
Harder?
period. Your time period.
Was harder or easier?
Harder.
What?
Are you
Have
kidding
you
me?
lost your mind?
Our generation, we did whatever we wanted to do,
really
Which
hurt
made
myself.
it easier
and it made it easier
to that
yes.
degree, but it was harder. We didn't have
No.
maps. We didn't have phones. We
No,
didn't
but
have
we didn't need
any
that.
of that.
We didn't need-
did you
oh, here we
drive?
go.
Did you not drive with the map that took up the entire
Yes.
front seat?
But I'm saying, but could you imagine if we grew, if the stuff we did, and we had social media?
That's the only
That's what I'm
thing.
saying.
That's the only plus is our stupid
So,
stuff
here's
did
what
not
I'll say.
get on social
Now-
I'm saying her generation
we
is
had-
very, much harder because they get bullied online. We
So
just
you're
got bullied to our
anonymous?
face, and we can
Right.
punch each other.
Exactly.
Right, you can't even
You can
fight
be-
nowadays.
you can
because
be-
everything's
We
like.
fought like, hey, by the way, I'll meet you outside of the
But that's
baseball.
what I'm saying.
ring.
I think our generation was a lot more real. Like,
Yeah, oh,
if
of
you
course.
bullied me, I just beat the crap out of you.
Right,
Now
but
it's like
it's anonymous behind a keyboard. One, so you're getting
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
even know who's
Keyboard
bullying.
warriors.
Two,
Yeah.
you're so exposed to so many more things and so many more standards. You're
So I guess
comparing
it's-
yourself to all
yeah,
these
so
girls.
I guess that's not an easy question then, right?
That's what
It's-
the big debate is.
Yeah, because I think we had it hard and they have it hard.
I don't
Just
think we had it hard. I mean,
completely different.
I think
COVID made it hard
It
for
was
them.
different. It was different.
Different.
us.
Yeah.
It was different. But
It made us
my
hardcore.
mom, and look, you guys grew up in the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
I grew up in the South in Florida. My mom kicked us out of the house. It was 100 degrees outside.
Well, no, that was relevant across the Gen X part.
Yeah, we were Gen X.
Fire hose.
We
dark
drank out,
street lights.
Yeah, we like get home before the lights
That's
come
it.
back.
That was the only
Elementary school, we had to climb a 30-foot rope
Yeah.
to reach
Yeah.
the ceiling
Yeah.
in the gym.
We had to change in gym class.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
but it was like, okay, that's what we did.
But that's all you knew.
That's all we did, and I'll never forget. Like my generation. I mean, I graduated 1989. There you go. Thank you very much.
You
That's old.
are old.
I'm old.
Duh.
But like 1989.
88 for me.
Listen, 88. Thank you,
Respect your
Chamaskina.
elders.
Oh my
Thank
God, you old bastard.
But listen. I told I've got kids that are 27. Okay, 1 year older than you. Don't act like you're that old.
I keep going like, what the hell is that?
27 years old, and they were in the band. They did dual enrollment. They did all. They were like they did a million different things. Played sports, and I'm like, are you guys going to a party after the football game? They're like, no. What are you talking about? No one does that. Like what?
That's all.
Yeah, we
right.
never did that.
That's what we.
Yeah.
But that's what
Keggers.
we did. Keggers. We were like in a field.
Or a fire pit.
Yeah, there was no control
bonfire.
Right. I mean,
with us growing up.
But like in the 80s, like we
No
had
seatbelts.
We had no seatbelt, but we also had John Hughes movies, 16 Candles.
Oh no, we had
Weird Science.
the best movies, the
Right.
best songs.
But what I'm saying,
the best everything.
I'm saying those
Private school.
But I'm saying those movies,
Class.
private schools. That was a good movie. Those movies taught us how to be who we are now.
Last American Virgin. Is that what you are now?
These guys, 26-year-olds, 27-year-olds, this generation, they had American Pie. That's
it.
Call of Duty.
Not even
That's it.
really.
Not even that. That was even.
That was
mid.
a little. That
Yeah,
was like I was young when that came out.
But I'm saying they had no movies to teach them how to be
realistic.
preteen,
Yeah.
adult, teenagers. Let's move into this because we really can't talk to our parents.
Yeah.
I feel like I could argue that, but I can't think
you
of an
missed the
example.
best
so I'm
movie
not
of all,
gonna.
and you've even seen this. Breakfast Club.
Oh, breakfast.
I think everybody loves their own generation because it's the generation
No,
they know.
no,
However,
I think we-
I do think our generation set us up more realistically to what life really is. This generation, it's not when they get really into life, like work and they're going to be more like we were.
I disagree.
What is it called? We were battle tested. Like this is it.
But that's not necessarily.
Yeah.
I will cut you. That's
You
not
guys,
necessarily
I feel
better.
like their
though.
generation is foo-foo, and ours was like hard.
I think we are just, and you're gonna take offense to this, but I feel like we are more emotionally intelligent.
Yes.
I don't take offense to that.
No.
I think you are, but I think you take it too far.
But I think that makes y'all weak.
yes,
I don't think so.
you
I think it
take
makes
it
us
too
smarter.
far.
No,
We don't
I
give
think
up.
so.
Because that's not always realistic.
No,
That's
but
not life.
I agree with that. You deal with life emotionally,
And we
where
dealt
we
with
dealt
it.
with it like, holy shit, we got to get out there. We're going to punch and fight our way through it.
I feel like you dealt with it
Figure it
through
out.
like your trauma. Like you're like, oh well, that's what it is. But
But
we're
it
like,
is. That's life, though.
Our generation is like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay, but when you get into real life and you get into a job, our generation was more prepped for tough.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. Your
Right.
generation's
We're like,
going
we
to
don't
cry
have
to
to
your
deal
boss. Your boss
No.
is going to fire you.
I think we're like, we don't have to put up with that. We're not just gonna take
But I
shit
think
from
that's,
anyone.
Why not?
No, that's situational though.
And yes, I
when
said
you
shit.
get into a job, they don't give a shit.
Yeah,
This
that's
is what
on
it
the
is, and
podcast.
this is how you do it. When you get into situations, how do you, logically think your way through? Not, like
not-
that's not
we're not,
always
like,
going
Well,
to.
crying
hold
to
on.
our
How
moms
about this- how
every
about
time
this
we have a
example?
problem.
How about this example? How about like if you have a 60-year-old boss, your corporate job, whatever
Right.
it is, and you're 26, and you had a rough night on a Sunday night because all your friends came into town and everybody wanted to have fun, and we all went out and drank, and I got totally hammered. And, I just can't make it into work at 9 o'clock in the morning. But your 60-year-old boss says, hey, everybody's got to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning because I'm Gen X and this is what we did back in our day. And you say, you know what? I just can't be there. I'll get
It's
there
too much. I
I'll
have
get there at
anxiety.
11.
Yeah.
And then he reprimands you because
You didn't show up
didn't
when you
show
were
up.
supposed to.
And you're like, well, I needed to see my friends and they all
I
were
needed
here.
a
Okay, and now
day.
here's where
I
the
need a
disconnect
me
is.
day.
No, here's where the disconnect is. So say I go in I decide to go in at 11. which,
Okay.
okay, whatever. I needed an extra few hours.
Right.
Whatever.
That's not how it works.
you're not really like this,
Yeah, no, I'm not.
No, I know you're not.
My
but-
generation isn't going to cry because we got reprimanded. We're just going to take the punishment.
No, that's not true.
That is true.
That's not true.
Not
you will
true at all.
You
That
will
is
complain
true.
to HR. You will call
Because
us,
of something
speak up.
we did wrong?
Yes,
Yes.
because
No.
you were
Yes.
treated
No.
unfairly
That's where we
and
disagree.
not taken seriously.
How were we treated
that you-
unfairly if we were
because-
the one that came in late?
But it doesn't matter.
How does that make any
You
sense?
were
Because
not
you don't
tre-
think those rules should apply to you.
But
Right.
we
Not
don't
to
think
you,
like that.
but
I see,
your
and
generation.
I, every single person I've ever met, I don't think that's true.
No, that's 1,000% true.
1,000% true.
It is too.
And where do you get your credit?
Life.
TikTok.
Right.
TikTok.
Okay. Thank you.
Is where your generation lives on TikTok.
Guess
It doesn't
where I
matter,
get
because
it
that's
from.
where your
That
generation
is,
makes
that
money.
is performa.
But guess
that's
where
you
I
make
get it
money.
from.
No, but
Corporate
that's not real
America,
life.
where I work.
That's performa. What?
That's
I
not
can promise you, I live in corporate America. And
How many
that
26-year-olds do you work
happens all? I have a ton. I'm the wrong person to come at with
Yeah.
corporate America because I promise you.
Y'all think? Hey,
it's-
look, y'all think this is fun?
See, this was a great
Let them- let them play
ours
Monopoly.
versus theirs. This is what I was
No,
hoping for.
not Monopoly.
because
Categories.
I'm telling you, your generation
Trigger
feels
word.
like they should be given everything because that
I
is
don't believe so.
emotionally the right
No,
thing to
I
do.
don't agree.
You are one in a
A
thousand.
billion. Yeah.
But it's like stereotypes. Gen Z, whatever. I don't know what you are.
What are you? You're Z. I'm at.
I'm Z.
You're Z.
Gen Z. Gen Z, like my kids, millennials, they do the same crap. My kid, like, he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to call out for because
An
I want to go to
emotional
Mardi
support
Gras.
day.
Yeah, I got to go to Mardi Gras. Like, bitch, go to work. What are you doing? Don't go to Mardi
We
Gras.
got home at 4 and was at work
wait,
at 7.
wait. Think about our grandparents. They were harder than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were even harder.
I mean, I never heard barely them say, "I
They
love
work
you."
20 hours a day.
They
got like
handled
4 hours
death
of sleep.
because
yeah.
Yeah.
they were in World War II.
Yeah.
My poppy,
But I
who
feel
was
like
closest to,
you're
was
like, I'm working hard so that my kids don't have to have the life that I had. But then when we do get that better life, then you're like, well, they didn't have it as hard as we
No,
did.
but you work hard for what you get. Not give it to me because I have anxiety and I'm emotionally upset.
Nobody thinks like that.
Yes, they
Yes,
No.
they do. It's your generation. Of
Okay,
course,
like-
you're not
Maybe
gonna see that.
millennials, but not Gen Z.
Your Gen
Anybody
Z's
I've ever-
worse than millennials.
I would never. And
You may
anybody
not.
I've ever met would never be like, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing and I expect you to give me everything. Nobody thinks like that.
Your
We're not
entire
dumb.
generation thinks like, did
No.
you watch TV?
What do you mean?
Your entire generation thinks that
No,
way.
that's not true at all.
They do.
They do.
Listen,
What do we expect to be
listen.
given? You think we just want to sit on
Everything.
our ass and get money all the time?
Hold on, wait.
No.
Like, so
We're not.
So all right, forget Gen Z, whatever. The people that are on TikTok, and I have 50-year-old friends that are on TikTok, and when they were going to cancel TikTok, she freaked out. She's like, I can't believe this is getting ready to happen because now I make
what
money.
happened with that? Why hasn't it been canceled?
It canceled for like
It
4
did.
hours.
It
And
was
then
for,
they-
yeah, because they realized
It was
wasn't
America
canceled.
still
It was
doesn't-
propaganda.
TikTok and like YouTube and all that stuff has made life easier for a younger generation. I'm not saying your generation, whoever's.
Yeah.
Made it easier for a generation because social influence or, whatever. And, if I decided I would put thousands of hours of content on in the world, then I could make money off of it and it was interesting. Mr. Beast, that guy's giving away millions and millions of dollars because he has millions and millions of followers. That guy probably never went to college. I don't know what he is, where he is or whatever, but he found an easy way to make money. We came up from a world of like, oh shit, we got to put some work into this. We got to.
This country
Hold on.
grows
Me-
on
me
the
and
back
him.
of
Me and
people
him.
working hard.
Listen, I'm a DJ because I found the easiest way for me to make money doing the least amount of work
And having the most fun,
and having the most fun.
for sure.
I'm like 1,000%. Am I taking the easy? I am Gen X of whatever this world is because I took the easy way out. I went to college, did the whole thing, but I don't use my degree for anything.
I got a degree in criminal justice, dude, and I'm
Yeah, and you're an entertainer.
an entertainer and a TV producer.
But I feel like
But
just
what I'm
because
saying-
somebody finds an easy
realtor.
job They're not sitting there being like, I'm going to do nothing and I'm entitled to all of this.
No, but what I'm saying
That's
is,
the route they pick.
if they decided they had it, like right now, I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, I need a real job. I can't. I'm 54. I gotta get out of this. I'm done doing all this dumb crap. I can't jump around and go. I can't do that anymore. But like, it's like, who's gonna give me a job at 54? Sitting at a desk.
You're unhireable.
I'm unhireable because they're looking for kids that are coming right out of college, blah 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 blah,
or been already in the system,
right? And that is what it is. But there are so many people that are just living off the internet and living off of internet fame, and they see the Kardashians, they see all these people that have made millions of dollars
Keeping up with the Joneses,
putting their names on something and getting followers. And that's how you make money now. That's it.
And I'm not.
But why are we mad at them making money?
No,
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
If that's how they're going to do it, that's great. But don't sit there and act like.
Wait.
But if
you
put them
didn't
in a
even bring up
setting,
OnlyFans.
Yeah, if you put them in a corporate setting and you put rules and restrictions on them, I can't do that. Why would you do that?
Well, that's why they're not in a corporate job.
But
But legalized prostitution.
What the hell?
Why are you?
OnlyFans, they're making $40 million.
yeah, but I'm saying,
I kept my daughter off the pole.
Why is he on my podcast?
No, like randomly just legal prostitution. Like, okay.
And legal
But
prostitution.
anyways, going back to the whole, like, I why are you putting me down for coming in at 11 o'clock? I just emotionally couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's where I
that's the
think I'm
problem.
with him. That's
the problem.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think that happens.
There's pros and cons, right? There's pros and cons to our generation, and certainly your generation is definitely more emotionally supportive, but our generation is what the country counts on to prosper, because you have to have people that are willing to have the good time, but when push comes to shove, they show up and they do it. Not the kids that are really
I just can't
like
be
I can't
awkward.
handle that. That's too much anxiety. That's too much.
You have basically said
our
the
country
exact same
Literally
thing.
talk like
10
that.
different
because
times.
you do.
10
you
different
know.
ways.
Listen, and
So-
we use vocal fry.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we need to both evolve together, but you have to have the generation that knows how to get down and dirty. But then you have to marry it with the generation that says, okay, we can get down and dirty, but we'll support you while we do it. I don't think that's there. We may be emotionally like in your face, just get it done, suck it up, it'll be fine, which it will be, because that's life, versus the emotional generation of, but that's not fair, that hurts my feelings, I don't like the color brown.
Okay, but
so don't wear it.
That's not. Now she's gonna piss me off, because that's not.
No,
how we
I gotta
talk.
say that was so annoying.
That
It
was,
was,
that's
but
not
that's
how
what
that
they say.
was-
I
no.
don't like that, so therefore you have to stop it.
That's not true, though. That you say, okay, that's life. We say, it doesn't matter. Suck it up. That's life. We say, okay, but it doesn't have to be like that. We can just fix it, but we don't whine about. Like, we're not
Oh
like,
no, I feel like you're whining.
No, we
you're
don't.
a big whiner.
It sounds like whining.
Kaylee's
to
not
you.
a
Yeah,
whiner.
and it
Guess
might.
what? At the
it
end of the
might.
day,
Kaylee's
Kaylee
not
gets
a
shit.
whiner.
Kaylee gets shit done.
But
Kaylee's
Kaylee
not
is,
a whiner.
But Kaylee is 1% of her generation.
like 0.01.
The only thing
Of
that
her
pisses me
generation.
off about Kaylee is she defends all these wokeness.
Instead of just, well, we're not going there, but instead
I
of
went there.
just saying
I'm there.
I have the best of both worlds.
I went there.
I get the hard grit that it takes to be successful, but I'm also emotionally supportive. Your generation doesn't do that. It's all or nothing, and that's not right.
we'll agree to disagree.
You're not allowed to do that.
Why?
Because we had a really bad political argument one night, and I tried to settle it, and I said, I will agree to disagree.
Okay, but
you
You
literally
wouldn't let
looked
her.
me in my face and
You
you
wouldn't
said,
let her.
you're
I will
not
say the
allowed to
famous
do
saying.
that. And I said, what do you mean I'm not allowed to do
Don't
that?
plead-
It's
don't
my
plead
right
guilty.
I will
to
say,
agree to disagree.
Don't look into the camera.
And I will say the famous saying: we may disagree on pizza toppings, but we may not disagree on human rights.
No,
That's
but we
different.
may agree to disagree. That is a relevant, real thing that you said I was not
may-
allowed to do.
We may agree to disagree on something that doesn't matter. Like if you
But
think
what you
generations
think
are certain
matters
ways,
doesn't may not matter
what
to
we
me.
were arguing about, we weren't able to agree to disagree.
We were.
Anyways.
Because
Hey,
you
let's talk
thought this.
soccer.
I
Hey,
thought
Kaylee,
this.
let's talk soccer.
Oh, Ted Lasso. Let's
Let's talk
talk
Ted
soccer.
Lasso.
See
Yes.
I need to let
yes.
Tammy.
Because you were
I need
getting
to let
ready to
Tammy
cross
off
the
the
line.
She was like, soccer.
I need to
Ted
let-
Lasso.
I need to let Tammy off the hook. Tammy needs to get
I
out of
was
the
good.
doghouse.
I was not.
That's
I was
what I
getting
deal with.
ready to go off.
So in
need Tammy
past
off the doghouse.
If she
episodes,
does that voice one more time,
I wasn't in the dog.
In past episodes, Jace-
But I don't like the fact
Jason.
that she can agree to disagree,
Sorry,
but I
Jason.
can't.
I'll take the heat for a minute.
Jason
No,
said,
Jace is the guy that's going to replace you. The first
you call him
podcast.
Jace.
That's my buddy Jace. He's going to replace him if he can ever make it. If he
You've
misses
ca-
one,
I know who Jace is, but you've also called him.
All right. Anyways.
I never called you
You
Jace.
put down Ted Lasso, women's soccer.
Yes.
Whatever.
You're your
Your
replacement.
opinion.
Messing
Don't
with
care.
you.
No, I know. Your
Tammy
opinion.
won't allow it.
However, did you know the Orlando Pride, your home women's soccer team, won the championship?
Yeah, I did.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
But you said you hate women's sports.
I don't hate women's sports.
He just doesn't want them coaching his son.
WNBA.
Here's what. Here's
If
what
they don't play this year, they're going to save $30 million.
Wait, well, let me ask you this question. Do you seriously think women's soccer should make more as much as men's soccer?
It's not about
Oh, that's a
dollar
good
amount.
one. That's
And
a
I'll
good
answer
one.
this easily. It's not about
Yeah.
dollar amount. They don't want to get paid the same dollar amount. They want to get paid the same percentage of revenue.
Okay.
So,
So all right, let's ask continue that question. How much revenue does women's soccer bring in? How much revenue does men's soccer bring
right. Regardless of their, so say men, just to round numbers, say men make $100 million and
Okay.
they get paid, I know, I'm just throwing numbers. I don't know the actual
Right.
numbers. 10% of jersey sales.
$1 million.
Whatever.
Or whatever.
in? Right.
100 million.
Whereas if women make 20 million, they're only, instead of getting 10% of that 20 million, so it's the same percentage
Mm-hmm.
Of what
they're
they're
getting
relevant. Yeah.
2%. So they don't want the same dollar amount. They just want the same percentage of revenue.
See, I think you're wrong. I think they want
No,
the
that's
same
what
dollar
they,
amount.
no, like
No,
that's,
no, their whole collective bargaining agreement was they want to make the same amount as men make.
no, that
Yes.
is
But they do-
misinformation.
but hold on. But
Wait,
they do.
wait. You're talking, there's a big difference between the WNBA and the soccer.
No, we're talking.
We're just talking
soccer.
women's.
If you're just talking
soccer.
soccer.
Women's
We're
versus
talking
men's
soccer, right.
sports.
No, we're talking. I'm
No,
talking
because they
soccer.
have those two different sports have two different
Yeah, so we're
philosophies and what
talking-
they're
yeah.
going
Well,
after.
No, I'm talking soccer. As
Soccer is a little bit different because the women are 10 times million
Better.
Better.
why
than
is that?
men.
Why is that?
because they win.
It's W9.
What's that mean?
It's the women are allowed to it's getting women into collegiate sports because so W9 is here we go. W9 is it's a law that says
Do
if,
tell.
if you have X amount of men's sports, you have to have X amount of women's sports in collegiate soccer. So what happens is
Should we chat GPT this?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
no,
fine.
I'm interested.
So what happens is, if let's say Florida State in Florida, so Florida State and Florida do not have men's NCAA soccer. Why? Because they have way too many men's sports, but they do have women's sports, or they have women's soccer and they have men's soccer. Both have won national championships in the past 10 years. Florida State definitely women's soccer has won national championship. But I would say W9. It's Title IX. Title IX allows for women to get college scholarships.
It's Title IX, right?
Yeah, Title IX. It's they get college scholarships because of X amount of men's scholarships. So football brings in all the money in college sports, right? And we
Right.
can agree to
Yeah.
that.
I'll say something. I don't really know that much about college. I was talking more professional.
But, no,
so-
but I'm telling you why why the women's professional soccer team, the U.S. national team, is the way they are.
Is better
Is
than the
better.
men's?
Yes, because in the in the 80s, because when Title IX happened, women's sports started women started being able to get into college via the vehicle of a scholarship via
Okay.
women's
So that's
soccer.
logistics. That's
W-
semantic.
because
That-
of soccer.
That's logistics.
Because of
Okay.
soccer. Men, and this is just a men's thing, men have to compete against people around the world. So if you want a Division I, a D1 scholarship, you're not only you're competing against kids around in the United States, you're competing against kids around the world.
Okay.
Because and they're like a let's call it D1 soccer scholarship. A D1 school has maybe, if there's 22 kids on the team, they might have 8 full ride scholarships. And those 8 full ride scholarships are being competed against kids in England, South Africa, all over the world.
Okay.
These coaches are going all over the place.
Brendan said something.
Were we at 23?
Okay.
Damn, that one went
But the women's, there's not a lot of women playing soccer in Sri Lanka. Or
are you saying so the men's talent pool is more broad and more competitive?
Correct.
Because it's international versus women
who are lumped in America.
Okay,
but however, what about?
But fair
Did
point.
you just tighten
what
up
about-
a thought?
Thank you, Tammy.
What about Women's World Cup? That is international.
Well, hold on. What I'm saying is, I'm talking about United States women, where because all 22 scholarships at a North Carolina, at a Virginia ACC school, where they're all going to United States women.
Okay, I hear you.
Because the talent pool in the United States has been developed to play for women.
So that's not apples to apples then, right? So here where I'm going. Men more competitive because it's international.
Correct.
Women less competitive because it's more centralized.
Okay.
Heard. Now, so that's not apples to apples. Point made. Check. So now let's look at Olympics.
Or World Cup.
Or World Cup.
World Cup.
World Cup.
Men and women are now apples to apples with who can make the team, with who they play against.
But they're
and
not.
the women,
They're not.
the women outwin the men at least 5-1.
Okay. Now, this is the reason why. Because women in America have been 22 full ride scholarships playing at these elite levels, whereas in France they're not.
Right, but
As
the
in England,
Olympics
they're
is
not.
international, and it's international.
So just because
hold on.
that they
Hold
don't
on.
have the same as men, they shouldn't get paid.
No.
An equal
What I'm
amount,
saying
but
is
that's what it
the
came
United
down to.
States women are better than every other country in the world. End of story. Norway every once in a while, China every once in a while, Japan every once in a while. They'll get a generation.
but the
that
Olympics
comes through.
team is not just American women.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What? But the men's isn't.
Yes,
Or
it
maybe
is.
I'm thinking of World Cup then.
No, World
World
Cup
Cup's
is
the same thing.
Same thing. It's that country.
Yeah.
Well,
You
what
can't
am
play
I
for
thinking
another
that has
country.
multiple nationalities on a team?
Nobody.
NWSL.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
And so, what I'm saying is,
Yeah, gotcha.
the Americans have promoted women
Yeah.
since the late '80s.
Yeah.
and we pushed our women through and got them through, and they've had unbelievable coaching. Whereas
Hold that
France,
thought,
Russia,
'cause-
everybody else have not promoted women.
Hold that thought. The Olympics, if you look at men's basketball, there are nationalities more than just American.
Why are you holding Jason's hand right now?
Because I didn't want him to lose his thought.
This is a
I didn't want him to
problem.
lose his thought.
This is a damn problem.
So people come from all over the world to play in the NBA, but when it's time for the Olympics, they go back to their original
Yeah.
So there is
nationality.
only Americans that play on the
Correct.
Olympics.
US national
LeBron
team.
Fair.
James.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
that's why I paused
So
you. I wanted to be-
my point is,
I want to be clear.
What my point
Okay.
is with the soccer,
Touch
and
him
with,
again.
With,
I know, sorry.
with WNBA, everybody, it's. And Caitlin Clark, I will give Caitlin Clark all the credit in the world.
Love her.
Redonkulous.
I mean, the only reason why we're talking about, and I've listened to all the March Madness stuff, is women and men, is because of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the Magic, Magic
Right.
Johnson, Michael
Yeah,
Jordan
right.
of that whole thing.
Right.
She put it on the map, and that's awesome. And I give all the credit in the world to her. But WNBA salaries are never going to beat NBA
And
salaries.
they're not. And I
And
don't
that's-
think that's what Kaylee's
that's exactly
point
what I'm
is.
saying.
Her point is if you look at men's and you make $100 million and men's average salary is 10% of $100 million. Women, if you bring in 20 million, their average salary should be 10% of 20 million.
Well, no, I agree with that. But here's
But
what
that's
happens.
what she's
But
saying.
that's the only thing I'm
But
saying.
that's not happening.
But with all of those girls that on the national team went after, they were like, we should be making the same amount as the U.S. men's national team because we've won X amount of World Cups. The men's team can't do that. The men's team sucks. The men's team is.
I have to fact check that because I think there was also articles and like a lot of the players coming out saying this is misinformation and clarifying this is what we mean.
Megan Rapinoe was all about those people
Yeah,
making
Megan's
the
her
same
own.
amount of money.
No, I know all.
Yeah, she's
I know
her
all
own.
the players who have come out, but I've also seen them come and say basically what I said. Like, we're not asking for the same dollar amount. We're just asking.
Okay,
for,
so let
listen.
me spin
probably
off
at
of
like 30
sports and
minutes.
go into corporate America. I do not, as a woman being in corporate America for 23 years, make the same as a man
No,
in 23 years in corporate America.
I agree. Listen, corporate America is one thing. When you but when you have, and this is the problem with the soccer of the whole thing. You might Women's World Cup might get, let's call it just stupid numbers. They might get 1 million eyes on the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
The Men's World Cup gets 25 million.
Agreed. Yes.
So the
There's more
marketing,
draw.
the
There's more
marketing
draw.
dollars, everything like that. Of course, men are going to get more money.
Yeah.
Even if your team sucks.
right.
No,
Nobody's
agreed.
disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
The broadcast deals alone.
But
Yeah.
but I think the women wanted to make the same, just the United States national team, and I will say the women. I enjoy watching the women's team play because they play better than the men, but. There's no way you can sit there and say the women's national team need to make the same amount as men just because of the marketing, the vision, and everything.
But
like
I don't.
that.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what they're saying.
And the NWSL, dude, the fact that the women in Orlando City, the Pride, won, and the men made it to the semifinals.
It's really good.
Which one is more important in the eyes of everything?
Well, just to say, women's Orlando Pride was the first pro sports team ever to bring a championship to Orlando.
1,000%. But
That's pretty
which
cool.
one's more important?
It depends
Women.
on who's you're asking.
Yeah,
Women.
Yeah, no, it's not. How many people go to the women's game as opposed to the men's game?
Okay, I know, I understand
what
what
I'm
you're
saying.
saying.
That's
but
what I'm saying.
I get it, and I'm not disagreeing with
Hey,
you.
guess
on
what
that.
you can do? You're allowed to agree to disagree.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying.
But
This
we're-
whole
but you're
conversation
arguing
could have
something
been
that I'm not
3
disagreeing
sentences.
with.
Right, I know, but what I'm saying is, it's, and again,
Say it again.
I know the coach.
Say it again.
I know the coach.
Repeat yourself again.
We have the world's best player on our team.
Marta.
She's,
she's
that team, it's so much better than the men's team. It's so much better.
All right, we got to go.
But the men's team is going to draw more people
They are,
every time.
and they're going to draw
Because
more in
men's soccer
basketball. They're going to
draws
draw more
more
in
fans.
soccer. They're going to draw more in
It doesn't
every
mean they
sport.
shouldn't get
but
less
that
of a
doesn't-
percentage of their revenue.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
yeah.
Jason Logan, Tammy Messina, Kaylee Messina. I'm Scott Messina. This is Ask Tammy.
But wait! No,
That got me.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
You scared the hell out of me. Say something about women's soccer one more time.
You are
I
very
enjoy
factual,
women's soccer.
and I enjoyed like.
And I love
and the thing
that
is-
he goes, yeah, I don't care about women's soccer or whatever, and then goes into a
And
whole
then
deep
goes
analysis.
into a
I was like,
documentary.
I will go into
about-
it. I
of
will go
it.
into it. I don't care. But I will.
There's who you apply for.
But I
Right?
shit.
job.
Believe me, I've already tried to apply for it.
That's who you know.
I did their Christmas party. I was like, whatever.
He's like, I love you. He goes, I love Orlando Pride, love everything you're doing. Don't think you should get equal pay.
They shouldn't get equal
At the end of the day, you should.
They shouldn't get equal pay.
No,
but that's okay.
but
They
that's
can get.
not-
They can get what pay
okay,
they
but
can't get.
That's not
Can't.
what we're saying. They should not get the exact same salary as a man. They should get the same percentage of their salary of what they make versus what the men
And it continues.
get of what
Okay,
they
so
And it
all right. So
continues.
if the men make if the men make $3 million a
I can
year
only say so much.
as their percentage,
You said
or whatever,
the same
Yeah.
thing.
and the women make $30,000 a year,
Right.
is that okay?
If that's the
If
same
that's the
percentage,
market share.
yes.
Okay, then I'm cool with that too.
And it continues.
But hold on, Kaylee, but
can't.
but what I'm not uncool with is if that girl, if the market says this guy gets paid $30 million,
I should
and
get
we should be,
$30
I should get $30 million.
Nobody is agreeing with that. I
Okay,
don't
good.
agree with
Yeah,
Alright, cool.
no, we if you get 10%, we get 10%.
Hey, Kaylee,
Is this,
It's 10%
and this is
of
why
what?
I think you just got
a
punked.
homosexual.
Not that game.
I love it.
I am.
I got the two best sons ever.
Homosexual.
I love it.
Kaylee has the best parents to have we're the best parents to have a gay child. But you're going to hear jokes.
And you know what? Because you're asking me,
What?
I am telling you, that's a wrap.
Oh, I thought you were going to.
Thank you. Look into that camera and take us out right there.
That's a wrap.
Check out the Messina connection because I don't know if I'm coming back on this one.
And let me know if you want to see me more.
Oh,
We all want to see you more.
that was good though. I thought that was very
fun.
good.
Not bad.
organic. We got to keep it funny
You
though,
gotta fact
not
check
like
that for me,
super
'cause-
serious.